Beneath 40 carved wooden birds, worn smooth by a careful hand, I found it. Not grandmother's familiar script, but a single folded note in faded ink. It asked, not explained, "Are you still leaving them?" I am still watching. My grandmother was gone, yet this voice from the past echoed, deepening a decades-long mystery. This wasn't the closure I expected. It was a new question. We will unravel the quiet story behind those birds and the loaves, revealing a truth far more profound than any of us imagined. As I stood in the old bakery, now a relic of memories, the scent of warm bread wafted through my mind, carrying me back to winter mornings spent hiding behind the woodpile, waiting to catch the mysterious bread thief. The cold air would sting my cheeks, and my breath would fog the window pane as I watched the back step, anticipation building with each passing minute. But it wasn't just the bread that had drawn me in. It was the small, delicate birds that appeared in its place, each one uniquely carved, with intricate details that spoke of a careful, skilled hand. My grandmother's knowing smile would hint at a story, but she'd say nothing, leaving me to wonder. The tin under her bed, filled with 40 of these birds, was a treasure trove of secrets, each one a testament to a mysterious connection that had spanned decades. And now, with the note's haunting question, "Are you still leaving them?" I am still watching. I felt the weight of her legacy, the realization that I had stumbled into a narrative that was both familiar and unknown. The old man's visit, with his cap in hand and eyes wet with memories, had begun to unravel the threads of this tale, speaking of a kindness so profound it had changed the course of his life. As I looked at the note again, I felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility to understand, to continue, and to honor the silent pact that had been made, one that transcended generations and spoke of the profound impact one person could have on another. And so, with the first snows of winter approaching, I found myself at the back step, a loaf of bread in my hands, the question echoing in my mind: who was still watching and why? As I stood at the back step, the loaf of bread cradled in my arms, the winter air carried the whispers of the past. I felt the weight of my grandmother's legacy, the stories she had left untold, and the mysteries she had woven into the fabric of our lives. The old man's visit had been a turning point, a revelation that had shed light on the quiet kindness that had changed his life. But the note, with its haunting question, still lingered, a reminder that there was more to uncover, more to understand. I looked out into the darkness, the snowflakes gently falling around me, and wondered who was still watching. Was it the old man, now a part of our story, or someone else, a stranger who had been touched by my grandmother's kindness? The bread, warm from the oven, seemed to hold the answer, its scent wafting into the night, a beacon calling out to the unknown. I took a deep breath, the cold air filling my lungs, and placed the loaf on the step, the wooden birds, now a symbol of a profound connection, watching over me. As I stepped back, the darkness seemed to come alive, the shadows cast by the faint moonlight taking on a life of their own. And then I saw it, a figure standing just beyond the reach of the streetlight, watching, waiting. My heart skipped a beat as I realized I was not alone and the story was far from over. The figure, shrouded in darkness, seemed to be waiting for something or someone, and I felt a sense of trepidation as I wondered what would happen next. The bread, the birds, and the note had set in motion a chain of events that would lead me down a path of discovery and revelation. And as I stood there, frozen in uncertainty, the figure slowly began to move, its presence drawing me into a world of secrets and surprises. As the figure emerged from the darkness, its features slowly becoming discernible in the faint moonlight, I felt a shiver run down my spine. The air was heavy with anticipation, the only sound the soft crunch of snow beneath its feet. I stood frozen, the loaf of bread on the step behind me. As the figure drew closer, its eyes fixed on me with an unnerving intensity. The wooden birds, now a symbol of a profound connection, seemed to watch over me, their presence a reminder of the story that had brought us to this moment. The figure, its face etched with lines of age and experience, slowly came into focus, and I saw, with a start, that it was a woman, her eyes red-rimmed from crying, her skin pale and drawn. She stopped at the edge of the light, her gaze never leaving mine, and I felt a sense of trepidation as I wondered what she wanted and why she was here. The bread, the birds, and the note had set in motion a chain of events that had led us to this moment, and I knew that I was on the cusp of a revelation, one that would change everything. The woman's eyes, deep and sorrowful, seemed to hold a world of pain, and I felt a pang of recognition, as if I had seen her before, though I knew I had not. And then, in a movement that was almost imperceptible, she nodded once, twice, and I felt a sense of understanding, as if we had shared a secret, one that only we knew. The moment hung, suspended in time, as we stood there, the only sound, the soft falling of snow, and I knew that I was about to embark on a journey, one that would take me to the heart of the mystery and reveal the secrets that had been hidden for so long. As the woman's eyes locked onto mine, I felt a deep sense of connection, as if the threads of our stories were intertwined. She took a step forward, her hand reaching into her coat pocket, and pulled out a small, exquisitely carved wooden bird. It was identical to the ones my grandmother had kept, each one a testament to a year of survival, of kindness, and of connection. The woman's eyes, red-rimmed from crying, seemed to hold a world of pain, but also a deep sense of gratitude. She looked at the bird, then at me, and I knew, in that moment, that she was the one who had been watching, who had been leaving the birds, and who had been waiting. The story, which had begun with a simple loaf of bread, had unfolded into a tapestry of kindness, of connection, and of love. The woman's voice, barely above a whisper, spoke of a lifetime of memories, of struggles, and of triumphs. I was the one, she said, who received the bread, who carved the birds, and who watched over your grandmother. As she spoke, the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, and I understood, finally, the depth of my grandmother's kindness and the profound impact it had had on the lives of those around her. The woman's eyes, now dry, seemed to hold a sense of peace, as if she had finally found closure, and I knew that I had found a part of my grandmother's story, a part that would stay with me forever. And as we stood there, the snow falling gently around us, I knew that I would continue to leave the bread, to carve the birds, and to watch over the story of kindness and of love that my grandmother had begun. As the story of bread and birds comes full circle, we're reminded that kindness can transcend time and touch lives in profound ways. If you've ever been on the receiving end of such kindness, or have a story of your own to share, we'd love to hear it. What's the smallest act of kindness that had a lasting impact on your life?